Welcome back to the Chester Centurion podcast, where we explore the stories and insights of leaders who are reshaping their industries. Today's guest is Laura Hall, Managing Director of Maverick Diagnostics, a trailblazing company that's helping independent garages across the UK access and implement original equipment, OE diagnostic tools, bridging the gap between small workshops and major dealerships. In this episode, Laura shares how she transitioned from oil and gas and retail into leading a high-tech automotive business, the power of vision, people management, and building confidence when you don't know the answers, why boundaries, consistency, and truly being present are crucial for a work-life balance, and how Maverick is scaling smarter, not just bigger, by leveraging AI and refining customer touchpoints. Laura also offers brilliant advice on embracing discomfort, knowing your numbers, and never being afraid to ask for help. A fantastic lesson for anyone who's navigating leadership or business growth. Let's dive in. Well, good morning, Laura. Welcome to the Chester Centurion podcast.
Good morning, Alan.
Thank
you for having me.
You're very welcome. So before we get started today, I'd love to know more about the business. I'd love to know more about what it is you do and what kind of clients you deal with.
So I'm the Managing Director of Maverick Diagnostics. We're a specialist company that helps the independent aftermarket access, utilise and really involve OE diagnostics, dealer diagnostics into their business. So it helps them compete with a local dealer. So lots of our customers are small independent garages owned by they're family owned, or they can be bigger sort of car supermarkets, remote network businesses. So they all have slightly different needs, but really what we help them with is take away the difficulties in dealing with OE diagnostics. It's quite a difficult space to navigate, so we're here to educate and take some of the pain away.
Cool. And what do you mean by OE?
So by OE, I mean vehicle manufacturer. So OE diagnostic tooling is the same tooling that the dealer would use. So for instance, if you had a VW Golf, while it's in warranty, you probably take it to the dealership. But once it's out of warranty, you'll probably want to find somewhere cheaper, more local to you. You'll go to your independent garage. So because of the technology evolving so quickly in vehicles, it's becoming harder for the aftermarket, so the independent garage, deal with these cars because of security that's put in place by the vehicle manufacturers. So we are helping those independent workshops use the exact same tooling that the dealership does so that they can work on your car.
That makes sense. That's so cool. So what motivated you to get involved in the business, and what was the sort of driving force behind your decision to take on this entrepreneurial role?
So I'm not from the automotive industry. My background, I've had quite a varied background of being in oil and gas, project management. I've had my own retail business. But what I've always been involved in is, I'd say, problem solving, communication, and really sort of making complex information accessible. So I met Andy, the founder, and first of all, I was really inspired by his passion. Really, one of the big drivers was that he's been in the industry for 30 years. He is so knowledgeable. He's lived our customers' journey as well, so he really understands it. He understands their needs, and he's really passionate about future-proofing their businesses. So that was a big driver. And then the other thing, the business that we're in is very niche and very technical, and like I said, it's a difficult space to navigate, and that challenge really motivated me.
Oh, wow. And do you remember the day that you became managing director? What were the emotions that were going through your head at that point?
Oh, lots of emotions, Alan. I was super excited, felt really really like chuffed with myself that I'd got to that stage, that Andy offered me that position. A bit scared, but I think the journey to there, to that point, made me realise that probably in the 6 months before, I found a confidence that I feel like I've never had, and I've been drawing on that through all the different experiences I've had in my life, all the different careers, industries and jobs I've been in, and I've brought a little bit from all of them. So although I was a bit scared, I actually thought, yeah, I think I can do this, and I was
Ah,
just
so
generally
cool.
really excited.
So cool. So what would you say some of the common misconceptions about running a business are, and how do you go about addressing them?
I think this is probably quite relevant to my background. You don't have to be an expert in the industry or know the industry or be an expert in the field to lead a business.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is about many different things. It's about vision, it's about people management, continuous learning. And I think so long as you have the right people around you and the confidence to know that you can work it out, I think that's the most important thing.
So vision, people management, and the confidence to be able to fix problems as they come up.
Yeah, not be phased about the unknown, I suppose. Knowing that whatever situation, whatever room you're going to walk into, whatever problem is going to come your way today, that you've you've got all that you need to be able to work it out. Because there's a lot of unknown in business, as you know, and
Mm-hmm.
just if you've got the right people around you, I think that really helps as well. And so building that team is really important.
Very good. So how do you maintain a work-life balance as a business owner, and do you have any personal rituals or habits that keep you motivated and focused?
I think boundaries are really important, but I don't I don't have a strict kind of routine that I follow. Again, I think because of the various experiences I've had in working in high pressured environments, I've learned to recognize what my limits are. And I think what's really important is that you know when it's time to push on and when it's time to take a step back. And I think probably having, so my original background is languages.
Mm-hmm.
I think that taught me really good discipline. Um, when you learn a language, you realize that sort of little consistent efforts every day will build up to something really big, really good results. And so it's the same when it comes to that work-life balance. It's making sure that you get little and often in. So for me, that's playing netball once, twice a week, walking the dog, and seeing my family at the weekends.
So little consistent efforts. And well, you talked about boundaries there. Boundaries are important. What did you mean by that?
I suppose knowing, having priorities really, and your family time, making sure that when you're with your family, you're focused on them and you're not sort of looking at your phone, um, and checking your emails, that you're present in the moment, and the same when you're in your business, that you are present and in that moment. So
Oh,
not letting each side leak into the other.
I absolutely love that. So when you're with your family, you're present in the moment, and when you're in
Yeah,
the work, when you're in work, when you're in your business.
that I think that can be really hard. It's hard for all of us,
Mm.
especially with mobile phones. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you've got kids as well, and they're the same. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
right, let's switch off from that. And I think by sort of planning nice activities, and nothing big. It might just be a dog walk, or uh, going for a coffee or something, but making sure you plan nice things with the family as well.
Laura, I love that. That's gold dust right there. So when you're with your family, be present. When you're at work, be present. Love that. Really cool. And the business is moving faster than it's probably ever moved. In this constantly evolving business landscape, how do you stay adaptable and open to change? Are there any specific strategies you use to remain innovative? Because you're in a high tech business here. How does that work?
I think, again, adaptability is something I've had to embrace, and I enjoy embracing, actually. I've realised I like change. So I've lived in different countries, worked in different industries, and I think being adaptable is important. But the only way to be adaptable is to actually practice it. I think it's not something that just comes. You have to put yourself in those difficult situations. You have to be constantly learning, looking for new information, the latest. You have to put yourself out there, and the more you practice that, the better you get at it.
And as a business, how do you stay at the forefront? You know, how much time is spent on research and development, for example?
Well, we spend a lot of time on that. It's a priority for us. And again, I think it's about having the right people around you, surrounding yourself with, like, for instance, our marketing consultants, Madre, they're doing the research in their field in marketing, so they're bringing us the best, most innovative marketing. When it comes to our own products, it's making sure that Dave Jones, our technical director, is in charge of that. He spends a lot of his time researching. That's talking to people, going to events, making sure he's well connected. And that's about communication, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Very good. And could you offer a glimpse into the future plans and goals of the business? Where do you envisage the next chapter of this entrepreneurial journey?
So in terms of the business, I think our focus is on really scaling smarter, not just bigger. So that means refining a lot of our processes, especially our sales process. One thing we're working on is more, structured customer touch point, making sure that every customer is getting all the right information that's really educating them, that's bringing them towards a sale, that the right sale.
Okay, so scaling smarter sounds like leverage. Sounds like, you know, being able to use technology in a different way, but to make sure that we're communicating properly with our customers, right?
Yeah, exactly. So some of it is AI, it's automation, really just refining all of the processes in our business to make sure that we're making the most of the people we've got and the technology we've got at our fingertips.
And why is that so important to businesses nowadays?
I think being efficient is really important. Costs are going up, so it's one way of keeping those overheads down, which is really important.
It is as simple as that, isn't it? I think costs and we've obviously got the NI hike as well, and finding better ways of doing business by using technology is probably more important than it's ever been. And the tools available to us are incredible, right?
Yeah, exactly. And customers expect that really slick, smooth service as well, don't they? Because they're getting it everywhere. So we've got to step up to that. It can't just be about that final delivery of the product. It's got to be the whole journey, the before and after. Make sure that is we're adding value for the customer.
And you've talked a lot today about surrounding yourself with the right people. Make sure you've got the right team. How do you go about that? How do you make sure that it's a really good cultural fit?
I think first of all is having values. So one of the first things me and Andy did after I became managing director was sit down and look at the values of the company and define them. Now they were there, don't get me wrong, but they weren't communicated, and it's then communicating that to everyone so that everyone knows what they've got to live by. I think it's made everybody step up actually, and it's also shown who perhaps hasn't been right for the company. So values, I think that's a really important thing to do.
To focus on, yeah. And I think you've hit on something there that, that taking the effort to bring those values to life, rather than just have them in a drawer somewhere and say, yeah, we've done that, we've ticked the box, we've got some values. Communicating them and making sure that everybody understands what they mean is so important in business. And it's a big part that a lot of business owners miss.
Yeah, one of the ways we've introduced the values to the team is by, like you say, it's not just putting them up on a wall or putting it on a laminated sheet in your drawer. We've got a little voucher award scheme. So we leave it to, and I got this from one of the books you recommended that I read. The idea that and it's worked really well. So we ask the team to award it to another team member. So they have to pick someone that has lived one of the values and say why, give a really specific reason how they've lived that value, how they've worked that value, and they award it. So what it does then is everybody's then thinking about the values, but they're not just thinking about themselves, they're looking at it in other people as well and their team members. So it's a win-win.
I love that, and you're right. I can't remember the name of the book it's out of either, Laura.
No, it's gone out of my head right now.
It's gone out of my head right now, but bringing it to life in that way is so important. And by getting the team involved and by getting the team to look out for a really good representation of a value in someone else is really powerful, because it's not coming from the managing director, it's not coming from the senior management team, it's coming from the staff on the ground.
Exactly. And then I think you asked me about how of getting the right people around me. I think the other thing is getting to know the team really well, and having a diverse team, which we're always working on, but I'm quite proud of here, and making sure you spend a little bit of time with everyone in the team, get to know them personally, get to know about what drives them, what motivates them, why they want to be here. I think that's really helpful.
Without a doubt. And the base of the Patrick Lencioni 5 dysfunctions of a team pyramid is trust, and trust comes from getting to know people, not just team building exercises, but really getting to know your team. And you definitely made an incredible job of that. It's been.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I took a lot from Kim Scott Candid's
Radical Candor.
And that, being, once you've got that trust, you're able to then really be honest with your team members, and they're able to be honest with you, and give feedback that has to be both ways. You have to be able to take it from your team, and if it's delivered in the right way, that's invaluable, rather than sort of a person feeling got at. If you deliver negative feedback, or constructive feedback, I should say, in the right way, it will, elevate that person and works in the other direction as well.
Wow. Another golden nugget right there, Laura. Thank you. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. I've really enjoyed having you on the podcast, but there's one more question, and it's a biggie. Right. It's the big one. Okay. And it's simple, but what are your top 3 pieces of advice to offer an aspiring entrepreneur, or maybe someone having challenges in their own business, or thinking about starting their own business? What are the 3 biggest pieces of advice you could offer?
One is know your numbers.
Okay.
I hope you'll be proud of me for saying that.
100%.
So know your numbers. You have to trust your instincts, but you've got to have the numbers to back that up. You can't just go on instincts. Obviously, instincts I think are really important, but go back to your numbers and check your data. Test and measure the results. So that's number 1. Number two is, I think, embrace discomfort. Change. The more you do it, the more resilient you become. And the only way to do that is you build. If you build confidence in knowing that you'll be able to work it out, you'll be able to face anything.
Okay.
Never be afraid to ask for help.
Is that number three?
That's number three. And that's about your team, having, whether that's, internally or externally, using a business coach. It's been invaluable to me having different consultants. You don't need to know everything. That's okay. You're about the vision, about the strategy and the direction, and the expertise you can draw on from other.
So know your numbers. Know your numbers. Know them intimately, because they don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Make sure you're testing and measuring different things in the business. And I love this one. Embrace discomfort and change. And that will help you build resilience, and never be afraid to ask for help. Absolutely brilliant. I love them. I'm going to throw one more question in just to catch you off guard, Laura. But any book recommendations? So you've mentioned Radical Candor by Kim, and that's an incredible book about the art of really, really good communication. But is there any other that have stood out for you?
Yeah, but you know me, I'm useless with remembering names. So
Go on, I'll get the name.
Chris Voss, the
Oh no! So it's Never Split the Difference.
Never Split. So my recommendation would be Never Split the Difference by
Chris Voss.
Really
And for those listening, Chris was he was the #1 international hostage negotiator for the FBI, and he talks about, again, the finite use of language and how to negotiate. So really good book. Thank you for that, Laura, and thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me, Alan. I've loved it.
You're very welcome.